There's a huge new systematic review and meta-analysis on fiber intake and the risk of dying due to various causes. The researchers included 64 prospective cohorts, including over 3.5 million participants from various countries around the world. They found that compared to those with the lowest fiber intake, those eating the most fiber had a 26% lower risk of dying due to cardiovascular disease, a 22% lower risk of dying due to cancer, and a 23% lower risk of dying, period, during the course of the studies. Fiber intake, of course, is generally a proxy for whole or minimally processed plant food intake, although some people do supplement additional fiber on top of that. However, the researchers did go further and look at fiber intake from various sources. They found that those consuming the most fiber from cereals or whole grains, vegetables, or legumes had an 8 to 16% lower risk of all-cause mortality compared to those with low intakes. And they also found that soluble and insoluble fiber intake were associated with a 16 and 23% lower risk, respectively. Different plant foods will provide different proportions of soluble and insoluble fibers, with some plant foods like oats, eggplant, and berries being particularly rich in the gel-like soluble fibers, while other foods like broccoli, nuts, and cereal grains being particularly rich in the insoluble fibers. Now, interestingly, another meta-analysis conducted by a completely different group of researchers using somewhat different inclusion and exclusion criteria was published just 2 weeks later and largely echoed the same findings. And repetition builds confidence.